Since time immemorial, man has been driven to push the limits of his strength, agility, and endurance. In his quest to achieve total victory, one place has become synonymous with that quest. This is Japan's Mount Midoriyama, the world's most difficult obstacle course. More than 1,500 feet of metal, mud, and pain. Over the past 14 years, more than 2,600 competitors have attempted to conquer it. Only 3 have ever succeeded. To achieve victory here, competitors must survive 4 grueling stages, each with its own unique combination of obstacles, pushing the limits of physical and mental endurance. No American has ever made it past stage 3. But that could all change because a group of 10 American athletes have traveled to Japan to take a shot at history. They include Ryan Stratus, a soldier from Georgia who's invested 5 years of his life to make it to Mount Midoriyama. Paul Casimir, a software engineer from Colorado, working to stay focused and overcome the recent death of his girlfriend. And then there's James McGrath, a college student from Washington State who came out of nowhere to fight his way into the top 10. Travis Rosen, a stock trader and father of 2 from Tennessee, who at 36 is the oldest of the group. And David Campbell from California, a 2-time veteran of this brutal course. He's dedicated his life to this competition, building a replica of the course in his backyard. 10 remarkable athletes, all hoping to conquer Mount Midoriyama and take home a K-Swiss endorsement deal worth $500,000. They are here to complete a journey that started halfway around the world, all with a singular goal: to become the first ever American Ninja Warrior.
Japan, the land of the rising sun. A country rich in tradition. Though this nation has suffered greatly from a massive tsunami, the people have shown remarkable resilience in the face of incredible adversity. That's because this is a culture that strives for excellence. They believe that by challenging themselves, they can reach their greatest potential. And in sport, there is no greater personal challenge than this, Mount Midoriyama. It is the world's toughest proving ground for athletes. I'm Matt Eisen along with Jimmy Smith, and we are just outside of Tokyo, Japan at Mount Midoriyama, the world's most punishing obstacle course. 10 elite athletes have traveled from the United States for a shot at becoming the first American ever to conquer this course. And with it, earn a national ad campaign and a K-Swiss endorsement deal worth $500,000.
In order to truly appreciate the significance of what these athletes will be facing, let's take a look at the phenomenon that is Ninja Warrior.
It started in 1997 as a simple one-time special on Japanese television called Sasuke. The idea? Build an insanely difficult obstacle course, invite anybody willing to compete, and see if anyone could make it to the end. 14 years and 26 competitions later, it's still going strong. Every season, its creators designed more innovative and more difficult challenges. So difficult, only 3 men have ever managed to complete the entire course. 2 of them were fishermen. The third, a shoe salesman. All 3 have become national heroes. All of Japan tunes in to watch the athletic performances and the carnival of characters who step to the starting line. And now it's become a worldwide phenomenon, airing in over 100 countries. Doesn't matter what you call it, in any language, it's just as entertaining. Sasuke fever has also spread to the US, where it's called Ninja Warrior, and where once again this year, thousands of American athletes hope to earn a chance to compete in Japan. The first step took place earlier this year in Venice Beach, California. Of the thousands who applied, 300 were chosen to compete on a course built to determine the best and narrow the field to the top 15. The ones who survived went on to a boot camp where they were tested on strength, speed, endurance, and agility. The weakest were eliminated. The final 10 earned a ticket to Japan. Now these men stand on destiny's doorstep, hoping to become the first American to conquer the entire course. To do so, they must complete all 4 stages, fail on any obstacle, and their quest is over. Succeed on one stage, and they'll move on to an even tougher one. But the final challenge is the greatest test of all. Ascend the legendary tower of Mount Midoriyama while racing against the clock. All with the singular goal of becoming the first American Ninja Warrior. No American has ever managed to conquer all 4 stages. In fact, none has even made it out of stage 3. Having said that, Jimmy, I don't think we've ever had the level of talent that we have with us this year.
I totally agree with you, Matt. All of these athletes have proven their mettle. This group could not be any better prepared.
Well, speaking of preparations, they made it through the course at Venice Beach. They made it through boot camp now in Japan. Who should we be looking out for, Jimmy?
Well, you got to look at David Campbell, the musician from Santa Cruz, California. He eats and breathes Ninja Warrior. He's a 2-time veteran of the course and has gotten further than any other American. He's dedicated, he's prepared. I expect big things from him today, Matt. Also, there's a computer programmer from Colorado, Paul Casimir. Came out of nowhere and made it all the way to stage 3 last year. The big question mark for Paul is his state of mind. After suffering a personal tragedy, can he stay focused?
Now, the athletes you just mentioned are veterans of this course, but we also have some very strong newcomers. Who stands out for you there, Jimmy?
Well, I like Ryan Stratus, the Army National Guardsman, blew us away in Venice. He's been working for 5 years to get his ticket to Mount Midoriyama. He's finally secured his spot. You know he wants to make the most of it, Matt.
Another promising newcomer is Travis Rosen, the father of 2 from Tennessee. At 36, he's our oldest competitor, but also a former All-American gymnast, tremendously physically gifted, Matt.
Jimmy, last year, 5 of 10 Americans made it past stage 1. What do you see for this year's competitors?
Matt, stage 1 has a 90% failure rate, but I gotta tell you, I think all 10 of our guys have the talent to make it to stage 2.
Well, let's go to Allison Hayslip to see what these competitors are going to face in stage 1.
Well, guys, we are back, and like always, we are seeing a lot of familiar obstacles on this course, but every year, the course designers manage to come up with some new twists. Competitors will have 2 minutes and 5 seconds to navigate a string of 8 obstacles from the starting block to the finish line. First up, it's the step slider, where competitors run through 4 steps, then grab a rope and slide to the landing platform. Behind me is an obstacle that was new to the course last year. It is the rolling escargot, and it took out a couple of our previous competitors. Our athletes have to cling to the cylinder and spin down to the other side. Next up, the giant swing. Athletes must vault to the bar, then swing down to a steep platform. If they survive that, it's on to the jumping spider. They'll spring off a mini tramp and spider crawl between 2 walls. Next up, the half-pipe attack. Athletes must run up the side of the wall, grab the rope, and swing to the landing platform before crossing over a log to the next obstacle. Time to face the 16-foot warped wall. Competitors must do whatever it takes to get to the top. From there, it's on to a brand new obstacle called the spinning bridge. Competitors have to run across these 4 suspended spinning balls, each on a pivot that spin as the runner touches them. The last obstacle is called the final climb. At this point, you're exhausted, you're spent. This is the part where it's either victory or heartbreak. Competitors swing on a rope to a cargo net, where they climb to the top, scramble over the final walkway, and hit the buzzer before the clock strikes 0. 8 obstacles, all challenging, all requiring different athletic skills, and it must be done in 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
Here are the 10 American finalists in the order in which they will be competing. Starting with James McGrath and 3 other first-time competitors here in Japan. And then we end with 2 of our strongest returning veterans, Paul Casimir and David Campbell. Up first on the starting block, a man who has shown unbelievable dedication in making it to Japan, 24-year-old James McGrath.
I got my cooler full of food, and right here, this is my bed. It's much cheaper than a hotel.
When we first met James McGrath, he was sleeping in a van he borrowed from his aunt to drive from Seattle to California. The kid with no money in his pocket wasn't an invited athlete. He was just hoping for a walk-on spot.
Woke up early that morning to get in line, and I was 17th in line. And then we decided to take the top 18 people.
Maybe the gods were smiling on him that day.
I got my chance. I was pretty nervous, but I just went for it.
This is his shot, and he gets it.
Hey, how can I help you? I work at an ice cream shop to pay the bills. The ice cream shop actually does prepare me for Mount Midoriyama. Scooping ice cream all day really works out your grip strength in your forearms. I started doing MMA training for Ninja Warrior. MMA has improved my core strength, my leg strength, and my upper body. It's really helped with everything that I need to conquer Mount Midoriyama. I actually had a dream where I climbed to the top. I'm happy to be here.
Let's listen in as the Japanese announcer introduces our first competitor.
アメリカ予選会第3の男、ジェームス・マクグラス24歳。
James McGrath, the first competitor on the course, hasn't had a chance to see anyone try out these obstacles.
Now, that is a decided disadvantage, but he can't let that worry him. So much of this is a mental game. He just needs to stay focused on each obstacle. He's very tall, very heavy. This obstacle might be a problem.
No experience on this. He only got his first look at it when he arrived here this morning.
And a big jump off the rolling escargot. That's a good move.
Real strong body control there and a good leap. A smart move. Didn't want to risk it. On to the giant swing. Looking really elegant there, Jimmy.
Long limbs, but he's not awkward. He has great timing, great balance.
Into the jumping spider, and McGrath at 6'2" is actually our tallest competitor, which can be a disadvantage here.
You can see, Matt, he can't really fit his arms and legs in between the walls, but did very well. His strength got him through onto the half-pipe attack.
4 obstacles down, 4 more to go. And not even hesitating. A little slip, but recovers nicely, gets the rope.
Little stumble, but very good. Did not hesitate.
Looks fine. Now onto the warp wall, Jimmy.
And he gets it in one. Excellent job. Great pacing by McGrath. He's looking to make a great time here, Matt.
The man is so strong physically. Onto the spinning bridge. This course looks like it's not even slowing it down.
And he skips the first step on the spinning bridge. 1 more to go, and he has a ton of time.
I don't even think he is breathing hard. This man continues to impress us with his physical skills and a high grab on the cargo net.
Look at those long arms. They got him all the way to the top, Matt.
So James McGrath continues his remarkable story. The kid who just wanted a chance has now completed stage 1 here in Japan with a little over 22 seconds to spare, and he's moving on to stage 2. Jimmy, what did you see in that run?
Well, I saw great pacing, great timing, but physical ability was the key. You saw the upper body strength. He got a good swing onto the final climb, nice and high. That's a solid run, Matt.
Well, let's go to Allison, who's with James right now.
You took your time through the course. Was there any part that you stumbled on?
The spider walk. My hands were slipping, so I wanted to take my time on that.
He still finished with 20 seconds, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Up next, he's a 22-year-old out of Gainesville, Florida, Drew Dreschel. There's no denying Drew Dreschel's unbridled enthusiasm. Whether it's here on the streets of Japan or back home in Gainesville, Florida, this young athlete can break out into a gymnastics move at a moment's notice.
Coming for you, Mount Midoriyama.
But this rough and tumble kid is just as comfortable kicking back on his couch.
Currently living in a little 2-bedroom apartment with my girlfriend. I've got 2 ferrets, 2 baby Dumbo rats, and a foster puppy. You come home, you pick up this little ball of fluff who just sits there, he just wants to be loved. It's amazing. My training mainly consists of parkour and free running. The parkour and free running really helps with my strength, agility, and conditioning, which in turn all is going to help me from Mount Midoriyama. I really feel honored and privileged to be with these other 9 great, amazing athletes to represent the USA in Ninja Warrior. We got here for a reason. We're strong, we're agile, we're fast, we're quick. There's no reason we can't do that course if we just take our time and do it right. When I go out to the starting line, I'm just gonna close my eyes, take some deep breaths, run through the course in my head a few times, and do what I do. It's one hell of a lifetime experience.
So Drew Dreschel is set to go. This 5'9" car detailer from Florida has established himself as one of the most athletically gifted competitors in the field.
And one of the most confident.
He says he always thinks of his late grandmother for inspiration. Drew says she was his biggest fan and told him he could do anything he put his mind to.
Never been to Japan before, but physically so talented, you could call him the dark horse of the division.
His foot slipped out on the rolling escargot, but he is through.
Huge jump off. That's great timing. That's that physical ability we've been talking about, Matt.
It can make up for some mistakes. Real smooth in the giant swing as well. On to the jumping spider, and Drew Dreschel looking strong as expected.
He's so physically talented.
A little stumble there, but perhaps got a little wide, but able to absolutely muscle his way through, Jimmy.
That's that lack of experience. We talk all the time about his physical talent. He's never been on this obstacle before. How will that affect him later, having never been here?
His athleticism is making up for some mistakes, but can he get through this course? On to the half-pipe attack. Looking good, and stumble on the landing there, Jimmy, holding his knee. Looks like it, and he's down. Jimmy, he looks injured. He is stumbling his way to the warp wall and just grimacing in pain, Jimmy.
Now, did he hit it, or is something seriously wrong? I think something's seriously wrong, Matt. Well, that's the end. His run was so promising up until now, but he is in a lot of pain, Matt. Yeah, I think it's his knee, and he is in a lot of pain, Matt. You can see it on his face.
The medical staff is coming to check out Drew Dreschel. Jimmy, what happened?
Well, it was the landing on the half-pipe attack. The landing is much smaller this year than it was last year. Drew mistimed his landing. Looks like he injured his right knee.
There's so many things that can go wrong with the knee, ACL, MCL. When you look at it again, this is every athlete's worst nightmare. He's got a lot of momentum going, plants his foot, but the knee appears to keep turning. That can be a very serious injury, Matt.
So the paramedics are loading Drew onto a stretcher right now. He's still in considerable pain, and you can see the concerned looks on the faces of his fellow competitors.
I can't imagine what Travis Rosen is thinking now. He's already on the start line. He's the next man up, but he's got to try and block all this stuff out.
Well, they're carrying Drew to the medical tent so the doctors can work on him, and as soon as we get word, we will update his condition. A dramatic turn here at Mt Midoriyama, and a sobering note for the rest of these athletes. Coming up, will Travis Rosen's skills as an All-American gymnast help him here in Japan? And we'll see Ryan Stratus, the soldier from Georgia who spent 5 years trying to get here. Will he make the most of his chance, or will he let it slip from his grasp? Welcome back to Japan for the finals of American Ninja Warrior. We are looking for the first ever American to claim total victory on the world's most merciless obstacle course, Mt Midoriyama. At stake, a national ad campaign and a K-Swiss endorsement deal worth $500,000.
Matt, every amateur athlete I've ever known dreams of going pro and pursuing the sport they love full-time. That's exactly what this prize could do for one of these competitors. It's a life changer.
Well, I know they're excited to be here because even before we boarded the plane to fly to Tokyo, they were ripping flips and jumps inside the terminal. And once they got off the plane in Japan, the boys were even more adventurous, passing on a charter bus to the hotel, instead opting for the train, which meant getting off in rush hour traffic in the busiest place in Tokyo, Shibuya Crossing. In an incredibly crowded city, this is the most crowded place of all, where the boys waded into a sea of humanity and took it all in.
Millions of people, you know, huge billboards, signs, electronics. It's just almost bigger than life, but it's great to be here with Ninja Warrior and part of it.
Walking through the Shibuya Crossing was definitely crazy. I'm from Kennesaw, Georgia. More than likely there was the entire population of Kennesaw in the crossing at any one point in time. It was definitely crowded out there.
Well, hopefully Ryan Stratus is over his culture shock by now. He's warming up for his run in a few minutes when I'm sure the entire population of Kennesaw, Georgia will be rooting for him. So far, 2 competitors have attempted stage 1. James McGrath from Seattle completed the course and is on to stage 2. But Drew Dreschel out of Gainesville, Florida, suffered what appeared to be a serious knee injury and is out of the competition. Travis Rosen is now at the starting line. He's another one of our first-time competitors here.
But Travis has faced the pressure of competition before. He's our oldest athlete, but one with a championship past.
I'm Travis Rosen, and I live in Franklin, Tennessee.
My background is in gymnastics. I was an NCAA All-American on vault. I am 36 years old, almost 37, and I am the oldest competitor. But I'm in the best shape of my life. There's some things I can do now that I couldn't even do in college. I love to train. It's what I need to do to achieve success in Mt Midoriyama, but it's a lot of fun. Got to keep this old man going strong. I live with my wife of almost 11 years and our 2 kids, and we've got our 3rd on the way. My family is extremely important to me. I always want to be an inspiration to my kids, you know, how to work really hard and achieve something inspirational. Is Daddy going to get total victory? Yeah. I lived in Japan for 1 year in college. Had to choose a language. I chose Japanese. Midoriyama ni zenbu yoku dekite kara kanzen seiha o osamimasu. Coming here to compete at Ninja Warrior is a tremendous opportunity. I feel very fortunate and just really excited.
Travis, happy to be back in Japan. Fluent in Japanese, spent a year here as an exchange student, hoping to translate into success on this course. Jimmy, he's quietly become one of our strongest competitors.
He certainly has. He has a great base. He was gymnastics All-American, University of Iowa. He has that competitive experience and ability.
Looking good on the rolling escargot. Very solid, good dismount into the giant swing now.
Well, he's doing well. Look at that timing, beautiful dive, just like the bars of gymnastics.
Very smooth at 5'11", one of our taller competitors. Here he is heading into the jumping spider. And looking solid. Again, very comfortable with the trampolines, with the springboards. Looking great, Jimmy.
Yeah, he's got long limbs, but very light, under 160 pounds. You see him fly through the jumping spider.
On to the half-pipe attack. This is the spot where Drew Dreschel blew out his knee on the landing. Can Travis get through it?
He nails it!
He's through 5 of the 8 obstacles and still has well over a minute left on the clock as he attempts the warped wall. Oh! One hand and the strength pulling himself up, and that's got to be a boost to his run. A real confidence lift there, Jimmy.
It certainly is that upper body strength. That's what gymnasts have, and good momentum all the way through the sprinting bridge.
It looks like the approach there is just to go as fast as you can and let the chips fall where they may. On to the final climb.
And that's where that upper body strength and that height, those long arms are going to help him plenty of time on the clock.
So our elder statesman Travis Rosen blows through stage 1.
He ran this course like an All-American. He was controlled. He was patient. This is exactly what he needs to get to the final stage. Look at how he nails the landing on the same spot where Drew Dreschel blew out his knee. No hesitation whatsoever. He really stuck that landing.
And as Travis Rosen enjoys his success, Paul Kashmir is waiting for his turn and trying to stay relaxed. As we mentioned before, Paul is here despite suffering a personal tragedy. His girlfriend died in a hiking accident just 2 weeks ago, and he wants to compete in her honor. We'll bring you that story in just a few minutes. Up next, he's a 28-year-old National Guardsman out of Georgia, Ryan Stratus.
Ryan's story is so inspiring, Matt. He's been trying for 5 years to get his trip to Mt Midoriyama. Every year, he's saved up his vacation time to compete in the qualifying round, and this year, finally paid off.
I'm 28 years old, living in Kennesaw, Georgia, as a full-time National Guard safety specialist. Being in the military, they want you to have a certain standard for physical fitness, and it's a pretty much natural transition into the American Ninja Warrior Challenges. It is a great honor for me to represent America. I've been trying out for American Ninja Warrior ever since they started these back in 2007. Each time I've gotten a little closer. It used to get tore up pretty bad when I didn't make it all the way to Japan.
We say goodbye to Ryan Stratus.
But over these years, I think I've matured a lot, and that's helped me take the small victories, and eventually that's going to lead to one big one.
Just gutting it out, a courageous
And finally, here I am. Ninja Boot Camp, that really surprised me just in the level of difficulty. Oh. Just learned a lot from all the other competitors, and that, knocked a lot of butterflies out. I'm really excited to go to Japan. It's been a long time coming. Being one of the 10 is a big honor. It's just a huge challenge. Not many people have ever completed it. I think I can go all the way.
So the citizen soldier refused to give up on his mission, and now, 5 years later, he's at the starting line here in Japan.
Oh, the difference here, I was talking to him a couple days ago. He said he's worked so hard on his balance and flexibility.
This is a man who continually strives to improve himself, holds himself to a very high standard, Jimmy.
He certainly does. And also, Matt, one of the most likable guys in this competition. You really want to root for Ryan Stratus. The guy's not a quitter.
Looking real good through the rolling escargot, and a nice flip dismount there. The man has style.
They don't give style points on this course, but if they did, I think he would have just gotten them.
Onto the giant swing, looking so smooth. This man so exemplifies the National Guard. In fact, they use his picture in posters in recruiting offices.
Come on, Strat!
Great attack onto the jumping spider. Ryan Stratus worked so hard to get here, and he's living out his dream.
It's taken him 5 years. He's looking to make the most of it. You see good pacing in between the obstacles. Takes a second to size them up. He's a thinking man's athlete.
And a little spin there. Oh! Almost down, barely holds on with one hand and gets through the half-pipe attack. But Jimmy, it was almost over for Ryan Stratus.
So you see that calmness, that composure we were just talking about. He sized it up, gave it a second shot. That's what he's doing on the warped wall.
And gets right up it. The focus of Ryan Stratus so intense, gets him through the half-pipe attack, the warped wall, and now just 2 obstacles between him and the finish line. A stumble on the spinning bridge, but he is through.
He's shown his ability to recover. That is so important. Maybe not the most physically gifted athlete we have, but so mentally focused. We saw that here.
Plenty of time left, and the soldier comfortable on the cargo net, and Ryan Stratus will finally live his dream of completing stage 1 on Mount Midoriyama. Ryan Stratus fulfilled a dream making it to Mount Midoriyama, and that dream is still alive as he completes stage 1.
Just a solid run, 5 years in the making, and what a recovery at the half-pipe attack. When he took off on the rope, he was facing backwards, realized he wasn't going to make the landing, and at the last second, hangs on with one hand, great grip strength. He comes back for a second attempt and nails the landing.
Well, let's go to Allison, who's with an elated Ryan Stratus right now.
Tell me what was going through your head up there.
You know, it's just been a long road to get here, and I'm just, that's a good feeling, you know, just being able to think about what it would feel like hitting that button, and it's really good.
Well, congratulations, sir. You got stage 2 ahead of you now.
Yes, I do.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Allison. Up next, another returning veteran who has as good a shot as anyone to complete this course. He's the 30-year-old out of Sandy, Utah, Brent Stephenson.
It's such a huge honor. Only 10 people are here to represent our country. It's a huge deal. The last season I made it all the way to stage 3. I think I have a pretty good shot at getting past that cliffhanger this year. I've been training pretty hard. When I'm not working and I'm not training, I like taking a lot of pictures. Gotta make sure to capture all those good times we're gonna be having in Japan. We went around to a lot of different temples and monuments, and I was able to get lots of good shots. It was really fun. I also like being on the other side of the camera as well. Doing photography really helps prepare me for Mount Midoriyama because you're always thinking about technique and really break things down and really get to look at them frame by frame. That $500,000 K-Swiss endorsement deal is a huge motivation because if I win this year, maybe I'll build a little course or something, you know? That's gonna allow me to train even harder. I can't wait.
And Brent showing off a little here at the starting line, and the crowd loves it, Jimmy.
You know, for most guys, I would say this is not the time to play. He should be focusing on the course, but that's just Brent's personality. He loves to entertain. I think it actually helps him focus.
Brent, our first returning veteran to take the course, made it to stage 3 last year, but looks like he's making sure he doesn't overlook anything and make a simple mistake here.
He does not. He's a former gymnast, stuntman, snowboarder. He's used to sizing things up and going at them full board. That's what he's doing here.
Looking good on the rolling escargot. Nice dismount there and a little flip. That's the gymnast, Jimmy.
Well, 8 years of that very experience. You see the way he handled that bar, beautiful dismount.
Made it all the way to stage 3 last year and says he expects to go even further this time.
Well, he's doing all right so far, flying through the jumping spider, an obstacle he's seen before. That's the benefit of experience, Matt.
And on to the half-pipe attack.
You know, it's been a tricky obstacle so far. Let's see if he nails the landing.
Again, a smaller landing space makes it look good. Onto the warp wall.
Sizing it up, I think taking a little bit of his time. And he's up it in one.
The warp wall looking a little slippery, but Brent gets his hands up there and not letting go. Onto the spinning bridge and building up his momentum. Oh, a little stumble, almost down on his back on the final ball. Spins, makes it through.
Yeah, it's a very deceptive obstacle. The balls that make up the spinning bridge are not as heavy as they look. They spin very easily. Obviously tripped up Brent Stephenson, but he's finishing strong.
Survives and on to the final climb, and the clock ticking down. A lot of time left. Jimmy, Brent Stephenson has blown away stage 1. 32 seconds despite the stumble. Brent Stephenson finishes with the fastest time yet in stage 1.
Let's take a look at his attack of the spinning bridge. You see here, skips the first ball. When he hits the second, he's a little short. It starts spinning backwards, and that starts the stumble. But great physical control. He rides it out and still finishes with the fastest time so far.
So 4 of our first 5 competitors are moving on to the second stage. But it's still early in the competition, and there's lots more action left to come. Coming up, David Campbell begins his assault on Mount Midoriyama. And Paul Kashmir steps to the starting line with great physical preparation, but carrying a heavy heart. Can he overcome personal tragedy and honor the memory of a lost loved one? This is the most difficult obstacle course in the world. But so far, our American athletes are putting on an impressive showing. Their training and preparation are paying off on stage 1. Welcome back to Mount Midoriyama in Japan, where the finals of American Ninja Warrior continue. While you were away, 3 more competitors completed their runs on the first stage. Jake Smith, the first-timer from Colorado, nearly lost his grip on the rope swing to the final climb, but managed to hang on and complete the stage with just over 7 seconds remaining. David Flip Rodriguez, a competitor with a unique background and a look to go with it, ran the course wearing his signature mask. Did some showboating along the way, but nearly lost it on the half-pipe attack before finishing with just over 17 seconds left. And Travis Verlanik from Santa Cruz, California is back for his 3rd time here in Japan. He put together a near-flawless run and finished with the fastest time so far. A dominating performance, he completed stage 1 with over 43 seconds left on the clock. Here are the standings so far in stage 1. Travis Verlanik finished with the fastest time, followed by returning Japan veteran Brent Stephenson. Newcomer James McGrath sits in 3rd. 7 out of 8 competitors have successfully completed the stage, but Drew Dreschel injured his knee on the half-pipe attack. Doctors now tell us he fractured his kneecap, and they're currently checking the ligaments, and we certainly wish him the best. Up next, a 25-year-old out of Longmont, Colorado, Paul Kashmir. You know, Paul is already showing remarkable resolve just being here. As he prepares to take on this course, he's also dealing with the tragic loss of a loved one.
I found out that my girlfriend died 2 weeks ago. Her name is Makana. Makana and her father go pretty much every year hiking in the mountains. I got a text. She said they were going to go up for the day, you know, sleep there and come back the next day. So I was expecting them one day after the hike, and they didn't show up. I had no idea what to do at first, you know. So I call her mom, and we get a search party to go search the mountain. It takes a while to sink in. I was in shock, and after a couple days at work, I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to do something. So I went down there with my family and friends and started searching. We got down the mountain and noticed the base camp had been disassembled. So we went to town and called the sheriff, and he told us they found the bodies of Makana and her dad. He told me they were on an icy ridge covered with snow, and that they had somehow fallen off and fell about 200 feet to an instant death. I don't think it's still sunk in completely. It's hit me a couple times and I can't stop sobbing. You know, she's a huge part of my life. I love her so much. So I'm here right now because I think it's what I need to do. The reason I'm here is to support and honor her memory. I'm not sure how it's going to affect me on the course, I honestly want to be strong, and so that's what I'm going to try and take to the course, but you never know. It's not in my control 100% right now. I think if I stopped, it would not be right for her. You know, she would want me to be here. She would want me to continue.
Stay strong, stay tight, let's go!
Everyone pulling for Paul. Jimmy, so much on his mind right now. How's that going to impact his performance?
Well, Mount Midoriyama, like any other athletic competition, mostly mental. Your emotional state is a huge factor. Let's see how Paul does.
Always so consistent in the past and looking strong here on the rolling escargot. Just a phenomenally gifted talent, someone who has trained so hard to be ready for this. Looking good as he gets ready for the giant swing, Jimmy.
Beautiful job, great dismount. Paul running in honor of his girlfriend. His friends and family must be so proud of his performance right now, Matt.
And he is up into the jumping spider. Paul Casimir so strong last year and looking like he's repeating that performance again, Jimmy.
Well, you touched on it a little bit. It's that consistency, that body control. He's keeping a good pace through all the obstacles, not wearing himself out, Matt.
Into the half pipe attack. This obstacle has been tricky for some. Let's see if he can nail the landing. Out a little wide, but
beautiful.
Real smooth, 2 feet solidly on and onto the warp wall. Barely goes back, right up the warp wall. Paul Casimir looking very strong.
We're wondering about his emotional state, but he has been so consistent. I think he's focused on the course right now, Matt.
Absolutely, into the spinning bridge, and a little stumble, but he is through onto the final obstacle. Casimir looking unbelievably well prepared for stage one.
Nice high grip. I think he is well on his way. A great time, Matt.
And you can hear his fellow competitors cheering him on as well. A stellar performance out of Paul Casimir. And we will have our 8th competitor to complete stage one. Truly inspiring, Jimmy. Running to honor the memory of his late girlfriend, and he completes stage one. A touching tribute.
You know, you talk about the consistency of Paul Casimir, and that is exactly why. No hesitation, smooth from start to finish.
Well, let's go to Allison, who's with Paul right now.
Can you turn around for a second? You have a pink ribbon on the back of your shirt here. What is that for?
That is for my girlfriend.
A little piece of her that you're carrying with you on this trip?
Yeah, it was a present, part of a present she gave me, and I wanted to bring it here and carry it with me.
Well, I'm glad it made it all the way to the top. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
And he'll get the chance to carry it even farther when he takes on stage two. So far, 8 out of 9 athletes to take the course are moving on to stage two. Can our final competitor crash that group? He's 33 years old and from Scotts Valley, California. It's David Campbell.
Now, there's no off-season for David Campbell. He's become famous for his dedication and for the replica course he built in his backyard.
I've always been into ninjas. When I was younger, I actually thought all the things you see in ninja movies were real, where they would do a flip 30 feet in the air and just all kinds of inhuman, superpowered feats. This is going to be my 3rd time in Japan.
I think this is going to be the year for me. I'm more prepared both mentally and physically than I ever have been before.
Ninja Warrior's kind of taken over my life to some degree, and my nephew Travis and I have built an obstacle course on some property my brother let me use.
So yeah, I was thinking about trying this after I finish it.
It's really great. I have another chance to go back to Japan. This is the most prepared that I've ever been. There's only a certain amount of time I have to do this in my life. I'm actually already one of the older competitors. Not that I feel myself slowing down at all yet, but, you know, just got to make the most of it while I can. My expectations for myself this year are to beat the whole thing. It's really exciting to think I might actually complete all 4 stages this year.
Well, no one is better prepared. No one is more focused than David Campbell. Let's see how he attacks this first stage. And this is the moment he lives for. David Campbell on the course at Mt Midoriyama, Jimmy.
Like we said before, he's gotten further than any other American on this course, but always seeking to better himself every time, Matt.
A man who combines unbelievable preparation, focus. You expect a perfect run out of David Campbell, and he expects that out of himself.
So far, looking great.
Into the giant swing here. He's had the chance to watch 9 other athletes on these obstacles. What kind of an advantage does that give him?
For anyone else, I would say a big edge, but not David Campbell. Except for the new obstacle, the spinning bridge. He's probably practiced all of the other obstacles hundreds of times in his backyard course. He's that well prepared.
Looked a little awkward at the beginning of the jumping spider, but threw it and onto the half-pipe attack, not even stopping.
And sticking the landing has been so crucial on this jump, and he does it.
Just graceful, almost walked onto the platform into the warped wall. And the experience pays off right up. David Campbell not even slowing down, blowing through stage one.
And he had never seen the spinning bridge before. Doesn't matter, he flies right over it.
And this is the capper on the Americans' performance. Wow, and right up to the top, David Campbell is going to blow everyone else away. And the final man to take the course turns in the fastest time on stage one. David Campbell makes it look easy.
Well, I'm impressed, but I'm not surprised. It's good to see someone who's put in so much dedication and effort and see it all pay off at the end.
So David Campbell sets the standard with the fastest run of the day, beating Travis Verlanek by a second. 9 of 10 Americans are safely through stage one, but there's little time to enjoy it because what lies ahead is tougher than what they just faced.